Well, as Manaz said at the end, it's very striking, the similarities across these three movements. The various principles that Marion put forward, and then you could see in Iran and also in South Africa that those same principles, those same practices, those same approaches and strategies were used in order to create and strengthen the movement. So there's no magic to it. It's hard work, it's challenging, it's dangerous, but it's possible, but it never ends. I guess that's the bad news, that it never ends. And I want to open the floor to questions because I'm sure you have them, but I do want to ask both Manaz and Marion one question, especially with the young women here from Salem, before I turn it over to you. And that is, given all that you've said and given the difficulties that we're facing now in all three of the countries that we've talked about, what practical advice would you give to young women who want to engage themselves as social activists? What would be the first steps you would recommend that they take, if you can say?
Well, come to meetings like this. Now, look at your history. I mean, I think that we've done we are a very ahistorical people in the United States in many ways, and we keep making the same mistakes. I mean, the last country you would ever want to invade would have been Vietnam. I think Afghanistan would have been a second. We need to learn from history, and I think that we've just not learned adequately from history. And one of the things that the Children's Defense Fund puts the top priority on, because we are building the next movement, and it has to come from young people, but we're training thousands of young people down at Haley Farm, and thousands of women and thousands of faith people to try to plant the seeds for the need for the new movement. They all, as I said, look at the Birmingham Children's March and see the history. It's amazing to me how many people see the civil rights movement in this country and in college as ancient history. How many don't know who Fannie Lou Hamer was, how many don't know. In fact, there are children in Mississippi who've never heard of Medgar Evers or Martin Luther King, so we're teaching them their history. We have freedom schools, and one of the things you might do is to go become an intern in freedom schools. We have a number of them in North Carolina, 11 in Charlotte. You're in Winston-Salem, but we're trying to get them all over, and every black college campus we're going to try to put them so the children can see college rather than just prison. But if you go into freedom schools as college students or as children, you learn about this history, you read the books, and you're becoming enmeshed, and it's been marvelously wonderful to see the young people becoming empowered, including young college-age students who see their new place in history because they did not understand about slavery. And we actually do reenactments of the Underground Railroad down at Haley Farm so that they can begin to see who Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth were and how this is a continuing struggle that they now have to pick up the piece to do. We all show the Liberians pray the devil back into hell. We show all of our women's leaders, the Liberian women, and how they grabbed men by the neck and decided they were going to end this war. So they see what the Liberian women did. We show them all Wangari's movement. You've got to inspire them and keep them aware of how dangerous the world is, but how miraculously a few people have made an enormous difference. And so learning that history, finding opportunities to get out and serve, there's no excuse not to see all the problems around you. They're all there. But we've got to create both the training opportunities, but then secondly, enable them to find structures for advocacy and service to make a difference. And those are the kinds of things that we're doing through freedom schools and other mechanisms. So I think that, and come to meetings and really learn from people who are doing things. And there are wonderful people doing wonderful things all over this country that is going to ignite the next phase of movements and will answer back the Tea Partiers when they flame out. So just kind of be there.
I think that the most important thing that needs to happen is for people, young and old, but especially the young, to have the sense that they can, in effect, change things. You know, the work of the WLP is focused on just this very idea, that everybody is a leader and everybody can make an impact and change first herself, then her family, community, nation, and internationally. And this is being now implemented in more than 40 countries in 20 languages. And even, in far-off places where Pidgin English or Shona or some other far-off language is being used, it works like a miracle. Once a woman gets that fire in her that she can make a change and gets out of the passivity that comes out of either hopelessness or indifference or thinking that what difference can I make? That thing is terrible, but what can I do? But once that agency is felt, I think that that's what will be the beginning. You will find your own way, or they will find their own way as to what issues put the fire in the belly, what ideas are the ones that they want to help, what social justice issues are the ones that resonate. So I think the agency part and the fact to really believe that you can change things.